Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction for Manchester United versus Arsenal. Absolutely huge game this weekend, and some good bits from Ole this morning, talking about formations, injuries, people who are going to be out, and the magnitude of the game really, and what it means for us to actually win this game and take that momentum that we didn't take from PSG against Chelsea last week. We need to do it this weekend against Arsenal, of course. But of course, a little bit of breaking news. I saw Ty off AFTV last night saying that after their 3-0 win over the mighty Dundalk, United shouldn't be scared of Arsenal. They should be very, 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 very scared. And as I said on Twitter this morning, my response to Ty on that would be, you're the sort of guy that's so deluded, you jump into a swimming pool of hungry sharks and expect them to swim away because you're wearing Arsenal trunks. Delusion. We've got Robbie on this afternoon for the Premier League show at 3 o'clock, actually, so we can talk about that. But, I mean, look, Pepe scored a good goal. Arsenal played well against an Irish side. I lived in Ireland for 3 years, and look, I love it there, but their teams are not good. Like, I don't even know where you'd put the best Irish side. I don't know what league they would go in. I don't know whether they'd even be League 2. They're not great sides. So, we've smashed RB Leipzig, Champions League semi-finalists. They've just smashed an Irish team who's probably just happy that they played Arsenal. That's the highlight of their career. And what's the highlight of your career? Playing a crap Arsenal side. So, reality needs to bite here. But look, Arsenal are a threat on Sunday, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoke about that. He said, that rivalry used to be massive. It used to be if you beat Arsenal, you win the league. We're talking about the 90s here, Ole, but it's true. There was a big rivalry there. It's not such a big rivalry, but many of us fans remember that rivalry, and it matters to beat Arsenal. You do not want to be losing to Arsenal, and I don't want to be drawing to Arsenal. I think it's a good point for Arsenal if they draw. As I said yesterday, we've lost to Spurs at home. We've drawn with Chelsea at home. If we draw with Arsenal, that's 2 points from 9 against our big rivals for the top 4. So we've got to win. We've got to start winning some of these home games because we're going to be playing them away soon. And who knows, next year there could be fans there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But look, what did Ole spoke about? Well, first of all, let's talk about the players that are out. Lingard's still injured. Martial suspended. Eric Bailly's injured. And Telles will not play. I spoke about this yesterday in the preview, if you've not seen that. But Telles, was never any chance of him playing. COVID-19 for him. Isolation. And, he's just not going to be back for this game. Donald says, I'm disappointed to see Dundalk lose yesterday, but confident we can win against them on Sunday, says Donald. Thanks for the super chat there. But Ole also spoke about the diamond. This was one of the big things from the press conference for me that was quite positive. He was asked about the diamond, and he made a very good point about it. And we've spoken about this diamond. It's a new system, and diamonds are forever, hopefully. He needs to keep this on Sunday. I definitely think it will cause Arsenal problems. But he did highlight that. And I loved it. I think you're going to get people saying he watches the United Stand and listens to you guys. And look, maybe he does. Maybe he's a very intelligent manager. But in all seriousness, he spoke about a lot of what we speak about. Like, he spoke about the diamond and how it doesn't have wingers. So it's very important for the fullbacks to be getting goals and assists. And, in fairness to Luke Shaw, he nearly got a goal against Leipzig and he should have got an assist. But nearly and should have isn't. Is. And the thing I would always agree with everybody about Luke Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka to a certain extent as well. I know he scored against Newcastle, but I think he's got to do more. Wan-Bissaka has been slightly better at getting goals and assists than Luke Shaw, but only slightly better. If we're going to play the diamond, the fullbacks have got to get forward and do more things in relation to goals and assists. Now, look, it's a big demanding job because they're both very, very good defensively and you don't want them to lose that. But we do need more going forward, which is why Telles has been acquired. So look, Ollie's spot on there, and I think that the reality is whether Luke Shaw should have got a goal and assist against Leipzig, he's not doing it enough. He doesn't do it enough. And I don't think Wan-Bissaka does it enough. You want to, we're never going to get Robertson and Trent. I don't think we're going to get that level of attacking talent, but we do need to be better because you're not going to have wingers in this system. And it's great that Ole, when he was talking about the diamond, actually acknowledged a bigger picture, and he said we don't really have wingers at the club now. When you think about people like Giggsy and Becks, we don't have wingers at the club. Well, it's nothing to do with Ryan Giggs and David Beckham. We don't have wingers. There are plenty of wingers in the Premier League. Nathan Redmond would be better than any winger we've got, and he plays for Southampton. You know, there are wingers out there. We just don't have them at this club, which is why he wanted Sancho, who is a winger, who can play off both sides. So we haven't got wingers. And I think that was a big hint from Ollie that, you know, to say that publicly, you know, we don't have wingers at the club. I haven't got Giggs and Beckham. But we haven't got wingers. And talking about those fullbacks, well, the reality is for the last 18 months under Ollie, we've been playing a system with wingers. We've been playing a front three of Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, or Martial, Rashford, Lingard, alterations of that, of course. I think we're moving away from that now because he's even acknowledged there what many of you have been talking about. We don't have wingers. I'm quite new to this party, as some of you are. I didn't like the idea of a diamond, but when that transfer window went the way it did, you've got to look at it and go, we don't have wingers. So why are we playing a 4-3-3 with two wingers who aren't wingers? We've got to go with this. And I think that two up front, diamond, fullbacks who are pushing on. I think this is the way that United are going to go. And I think Ollie hopefully is going to stick with that, because I listened to a lot of things over the last few days, and I always think when you've had a good result, it's important to look at some of the negative comments. I listened to, Johnny Giles on Off the Ball over in Ireland. I've read a few other things. And the criticism, and look, you're always going to get the critics. They're basically saying, well, what's his best team? What's Ollie's best team? You know, what's his philosophy? And I think that's the thing now. Very good results, very good individual results. But the PSG result and the Leipzig result, very different performances, very different personnel, very different formations. I think if you want to be successful, you've got to have a way of playing, and we've spoken about this. What's with the arrogance? Saw your tweet mocking Jose. You do realise Ollie set up on the counter-attack against PSG just like Jose would, says Advitia. Don't know what you're on about, mate. You're living in the past, that's for sure. Johnny Wilson, if Aubameyang plays like he has been and we keep him quiet, Arsenal will have no attacking threat and their defence cannot handle informed Rashford, says Johnny Wilson. I am getting more and more confidence about the weekend. I don't know whether that confidence is coming from the fact that we've got to win. A draw is a bad result for us. Confidence before a fall or not, I expect us to win. Did you hear about the earthquake off the Indian coast yesterday? 0.0 on the Richter scale. No one was killed, but Eric Bay is now out for the season, says 50 Cuffs. Not your best. Not your best joke, mate. You put a lot of effort into that to sort of... anyway, we'll move on. I think we need to move on. Just like the players, I hope Ollie also performs consistently in terms of taking good decisions regarding tactics and being proactive in making them changes. Then the onus will be on the players to perform, says Pranay. Well, that's something else Ollie spoke about, actually. It leads nicely into that. He was asked a question about you can use 5 subs in the Champions League, but you can't use it in the Premier League. Do you think that's a good or a bad thing? And he said it's a bad thing because ultimately this was voted down by the Premier League. He says, I'm surprised it got voted down because we've already seen a lot of clubs getting a lot of injuries. And whilst I understand that some of the weaker clubs affected, he didn't say this, but he said whilst he understands it, you've got to think about the players' welfare in relation to injuries and fatigue. Now, what does he mean by why does Ollie understand that it got voted down? Well, effectively, I think the interpretation is that this was voted for by the Premier League clubs, whether we should keep 5 subs or go back to 3. And the feeling was that a lot of the lesser clubs who don't have bigger squads voted it down because they felt like if you are 1-0 up with half an hour to go against United and they can bring on Cavani, Greenwood, Van der Beek, McTominay and Mata, that makes them better against your side where you can't even bring anybody decent on. So you can see why the smaller clubs voted against it. But like Ollie said, it's right for them to vote against it, but actually is it good for the players? We're getting a lot of injuries now. So look, you can't do anything about it. It's a 3-sub system, but obviously in the Champions League, it's a 5-sub system. And it, you know, Ollie has spoken about a very good line. I think I mentioned it yesterday. I don't have subs, I have finishers. And I think what we've seen against PSG and definitely Leipzig as well is that with half an hour to go, he's brought people on to finish the job. They're not subs. They're not like dropped really. They're part of the 90-minute game plan. Now, obviously in the Premier League, that didn't work against Chelsea. So it'd be interesting to see whether that 5-sub system actually makes it easier for a manager, and I think it does. But he spoke about the wider squad as well, and he said, you know, there is any club that's been successful in history has a squad that they can utilise, and I've got lots of choices at the moment. So it's good to see. Also, I mean, look, let's be honest here. Let's focus. Let's face up to something quite interesting. Where's Zeb? Don't leave him either. And it's you know, Juan Mata, the Premier League expert. I mean, Mata started against Newcastle. He started against Chelsea. He didn't play against Leipzig. Will Mata come into the team for Arsenal? And yes, I've got a little bit of sick in my mouth. And that's not because of Juan Mata, I like Juan Mata, but starting Mata against Arsenal makes me feel a little bit sick, because this is where those people who want Ollie to lose so that they can say, "Oh, I told you so." This is where they will relish this opportunity if this happens, because we've got to stop. We've got to stop. There's not one part of my brain that thinks he's going to start James or Mata against Arsenal in a couple of days. But why wouldn't he? He's done it twice before. He could do it again. Now, if he does go and do that, what are we doing? What are we seriously trying to achieve this season? The glimpse you had on Wednesday night against RB Leipzig and the players that you brought off the bench, that is what we need to be doing in the Premier League as well. There is absolutely no way that Juan Mata or Dan James or Odion Ighalo or Brandon Williams or any other player that's nowhere near this first team in relation to talent and ability at this moment in time, they should not be getting any minutes just because it's a squad game. They shouldn't be getting any minutes until we start getting injuries and things like that, because we've actually got a really big squad, especially around that midfield. The most dangerous times are when we expect to win, says Ash G. Exactly, and I think I agree with Ash 100% there. The dangerous times are when you expect to win, because this is what happened after the PSG game. We went into that Chelsea game and we were like, we've just beaten PSG, we can beat Chelsea at home. And then we saw mass team selection changes. We saw Juan Mata and Dan James starting. We see Pogba and Matic and Van der Beek on the bench. We can't see that again. We've got to go pretty much with the same team. You know, we've not travelled. I'd go pretty much with the same team, apart from Bruno comes into the side, and obviously Martial can't play. Do you prefer Pogba at Cam or CM? I think he can be unstoppable at Cam, says Chris Burris. Well, you know, Ollie spoke about Pogba and said, you know, he played really well the other night. And I think what we're seeing with Pogba is that as he gets fitter, he will get better. If I'm being honest about Paul Pogba in the Cam situation, it's very similar to the... and Jude says that Juan Mata and James worked against Newcastle. No, they didn't. But it was 1-1 when they came off, mate, and it finished 4-1 without them, so it didn't work at all. It worked in relation to a system, but we're trying to win games. But in relation to Pogba and Van der Beek, I don't think either of them are Cams. I don't understand why people think that they are. I've watched Paul Pogba's career since it started at Manchester United. I remember when just before he went to Juve, and we got a little glimpse of him. I think it was against Stoke around February time, and he played in the midfield, and it was like, oh my God, we've got a great player here. And then he didn't sign the contract and he left. I've seen him play for Juventus. I've seen him play for France. I've seen him at Manchester United. I have never ever got the urge to say, let's play Pogba as our centre attacking midfielder. No, I think he's got too many attributes. He's strong, he can dribble, his passing range, his height. You want Paul Pogba around the middle of the pitch. You don't really want Paul Pogba around the edge of the box that much. You want him driving towards the edge of the box. But on the other hand, you don't really want Paul Pogba as a CDM either. You want Paul Pogba box to box. Paul Pogba to me is a number 8. And I think where we played him on Wednesday night against Leipzig was perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I think he could play on the right side where Fred played, or he can play on the left side where he did. But the box-to-box role with a CDM behind him and a Cam ahead of him, which is Bruno. That's the perfect position for Pogba. And I think it's always been the perfect position for Pogba, whether it's France, Juve, or maybe we've not used him enough for United there. And I agree. I also think it's the best place for Van der Beek. I mean, look, if I could tell you my dream Manchester United midfield, and I'm not sure we've got the players to do it at the moment, and I think that's going to be to the detriment of Donny, is the diamond with a truly brilliant CDM. And I'm talking, look, maybe an Ndidi, Prime Kante, somebody who's, Fred if he had a first touch and a passing distribution. You want a holding midfielder who's got energy and can run that midfield and is mobile. And then you'd have that holding midfielder, Pogba, Van der Beek, Bruno. And you'd have one of the best diamond midfielders in the Premier League. One of the best midfields in the Premier League. The league Dundalk play for in Ireland have a university team and they play in the same league, says Brian Lavery. Yep, UCL, isn't it? UCL. Yeah, so it's not the best league in the world, but it is what it is. He did speak about Fred as well. Ollie spoke about Fred and said that we're starting to get the Fred that we want to see now. He did play well last season, which he did, and he wasn't happy with some of his passing on Wednesday night, but his energy levels, he's got a low sense of gravity. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer speaks a lot like you lot speak in the live comments, and he speaks a lot like of the things that we speak about. I like Fred for those reasons, and we've spoken about it. I mean, tenacity is a word I use a lot of, but it's not really about tenacity. It's about it's about mobility. It's about winning the ball back, and Ollie's absolutely right. It is about that low centre of gravity a lot of the time with Fred that works really, really well for him. And he's, as I've said many times before, he is the only player that we've got in the team that can do that. So very, very important, Fred. And for me, Fred's one of the first UCD, University College, sorry, it's not UCL, UCD. Yeah, I've been there loads of times. It's a massive campus. But yeah, Fred needs to start against Arsenal, says Ihab, and Fred involved in all 4 goals. I mean, to me, I wouldn't quite say that Fred is the first name on the team sheet for me, but he is one of the most important players in our team at the moment. And think about squad games, squad rules, squad vibes, squad whatever, squad load of crap. Yes, a squad is very important, but so is picking the players that are playing really well at the moment. And I look at that United side going into the Arsenal game, and there's 4 or 5 players that I think actually, there's more than that. There's a number of players in our team at the moment that absolutely have to start because they are playing superbly well. You don't rest those players. And those players for me at the moment are David De Gea. I think he's playing absolutely brilliant, the best he's played in ages, and he's doing it consistently. I mean, since that save against Newcastle, the last 4 games, he's been the best I've seen him for a long time. So you've got David De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I mean, look, he just tackles in the box where he slides, and I think don't do it, but he's so good at doing it. He's like, whatever, hold my pint. So yeah, you've got David De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Both of those are playing superbly well at the moment. And look, Luke Shaw's playing good, but I'm talking players who are absolutely in the groove of, they're banging form. So David De Gea, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Fred, Bruno, Rashford. Those 5 at the moment are absolutely bang in form. There's players around them that are playing good, like Lindelof's playing good, Luke Shaw's playing good, Pogba's playing good, Matic is back, he's playing good. But those 5 for me are absolutely essential starters against Arsenal. Rashford, Bruno, Fred, Wan-Bissaka, David De Gea. They're at the top of their game, and they're the 5 players I'd put straight on the team sheet. I mean, Ollie obviously is going to put Harry Maguire on there because he loves Harry Maguire, but those 5 players have got to play, and because of that, it means that only Donny van der Beek or Paul Pogba can start. And for me, as I've said, I would go with Pogba. Who would you go with, actually? Would you go, if we play the diamond and it's going to be Matic or McTominay, Fred, Bruno at the head of the diamond, and then on the left-hand side of the diamond, you're going to go with Fred, or you're going to go with Pogba. You're going to go Donny van der Beek or Pogba. Who are you going to go with out of those? Because for me, I personally think I would go with Paul Pogba. And then the great thing is Donny van der Beek would definitely come into that side, wouldn't he? At some point, he's going to come into that side. Right, super chat from Zane. I wondered when he was going to join us. What a masterpiece last night. Get ready for a post-Halloween bloodbath on Sunday. Yeah, most people are going for Pogba as well, which is what I would go with. So what else did Ollie speak about in the press conference? He spoke about Arteta. He said Arteta needs time. He knows what's best for that club. Probably talking about himself there, really. Arteta knows what Arsenal's about. Ollie knows what United's all about. Chelsea knows what... Lampard knows what Chelsea's all about. We spoke about Telles. He did speak about Romero and Phil Jones as well. Now, neither of these 2 players interest me, but neither of these 2 players are in the Champions League squad or the Premier League squad. Now, he said about Romero's only just come back. He's just doing his pre-season work now. So, Romero's going to go. I don't know why we didn't let Romero go. But more interestingly, when talking about Phil Jones, he said Phil Jones hasn't been named in the squad because he's not fit. That's just a natural thing. He'll be back in December. I mean, what has Phil Jones done to be injured? I don't know. So basically, this latest injury for Phil Jones, and you know, his injury list reads longer than your Christmas shopping list. It's massive. So he wasn't injured before lockdown in March. He got injured in lockdown so badly that he's out till December. So somewhere in lockdown, Phil Jones has got an injury that's kept him out for 8 months. I mean, what did you do? Trip over a game of bloody snakes and ladders? I mean, just get rid of this player. I mean, it's his testimonial year. What's he doing? I don't understand how he's injured again. But anyway, that's the update on him. I think a few people thought that. Ollie 100% watches United stand or should do. Diamond is the way to go. Fred needs to play every game. Rashford giving Ronaldo vibes. Oh, and Valor is a prat, says T100 Mills. And Jones is Batman, says Hector Rico. Well, maybe he's busy doing that. I don't know. He also spoke about the fitness being a big part of why the response has been good, which I think we've addressed before. And we've got a good squad, and every team that's successful has a good squad as well. And I think, you know, I think you can sort of you can overdo it, can't you, in your preparation? But I think that I just want Ollie to simplify it. This is my feeling ahead of the Arsenal game. I just want him to keep it simple. I think that, you know, the PSG game was a game of a very good tactic for an hour, and then he changed it and we took control of the game. And I think we saw the same thing against Leipzig as well, where it was, you know, we were winning for an hour or so, and then in the last half an hour we totally changed it with subs and we took the game away as well. And then after those games, well, and before as well, Newcastle and Chelsea, we see this team I don't like, this 4-2-3-1, Fred and McTominay protecting the back four, Mata and James just in the system. And I think what I want to see against Arsenal is I feel like the Chelsea game, the longer I'm still disappointed by the Chelsea game, by the way, but the Chelsea game for me was just odd. I think that's when I look back on that Chelsea game, and I don't know what you think, but I look on it as a missed opportunity because it wasn't the team that we picked. It wasn't the team that we picked against PSG. It wasn't the team that we picked against Leipzig. It was very much a, here's my Carabao Cup team that I'm going to play in the Premier League. It felt like that. It felt like, you know, it was a good point compared to the team that we started with against the team that Chelsea put out, but we could have gone so much stronger. And this is what I'm worried about against Arsenal on Sunday. Are we going to see a silly team selection again where it's, oh, look at the squad I've got. Go on then, Dan, you can have a run out, and Wan. And I'm like, no, let's get a bit of a rhythm going. Let's get a bit of continuity, and let's start putting a vision out about how we want to play, what our best 11 is, and how we're going to, you know, the Premier League, it's such a cliche, but it's so true. The Premier League is up for grabs. Why would you not go with a strong team in the Premier League? Why would you use your wider squad and give people game time in the Premier League in a big game like that? If we beat Arsenal and Everton, when the next international break comes up, we'll have 6 more points from now. We'll be on 13 points. Guarantee you, we will be in a title race effectively, because we'll have that game in the hand, which you'll think, well, we get 3 points against Burnley. And that's another 3 points, really. And then you're on 16 points in your head, and that's definitely going to put you into a title race, especially considering that Liverpool are playing Man City next week. That one of those two teams is going to drop points again, or maybe both of them. So beating Arsenal at the weekend and then beating Everton is absolutely huge. And if we play the team that we played on Wednesday, we can win both of those games. We don't, you know, obviously you've got to go into them and be respectful. Look, Arsenal are a good team. Ollie's never beaten Arsenal. So you've got to be respectful of Arsenal, and you've definitely got to be respectful of Everton as well. But I look at that team on Wednesday. Where's our respect? You know, I think we're over egging the pudding here and saying, well, you know, Arsenal, Everton, they're good sides. We've just smashed Leipzig, and we've truly beaten PSG. And if PSG were playing Everton, they'd shit themselves. And if Leipzig were playing Arsenal, they'd crap themselves as well. So we have to go into these games with the momentum and the confidence that we should have. Yes, I respect Arsenal. Yes, I respect Everton. Yes, they can both beat us. I'm not stupid. But we should be looking to beat them. And this goes back into what I was talking about on the watch-along a couple of nights ago, is We're Manchester United. We've got to start going strong and not looking at the opposition and thinking, well, Arteta's definitely going to play a back five and hit us on the break, so I don't want to be too attacking myself. Let's also play a bit defensive and see if we can nick a goal. He might do that. I can't promise you Ollie's not going to do that, because he basically did it against Chelsea. Arsenal will play a back five. Arsenal will soak up pressure and try and hit us on the break with their quicker flair players. That might make Ollie go, oh, I don't fancy that. I don't fancy that, because we might have loads of the ball and they'll hit us on the break and they'll win it and I won't be able to break them down. We're going to go defensive as well. We'll make it a midfield tight battle and hope that we get the goal that wins it. And it didn't work against Chelsea. So would Man City approach the game like that? And look, people are going to say, well, Arsenal did beat Man City and Liverpool got beat by Arsenal, sorry. But I still think you've got to go into the game and play your way. And we're good enough to beat Arsenal. And I think Arsenal are a bit of a wounded animal at the moment. And I also think with Arsenal, because they're missing players at the back like David Luiz, and, you know, I'm not saying he's particularly good either, but because they're missing players, I think if we can get Arsenal early on, we know Arsenal have got a soft underbelly. If you could get a couple of goals in the first half and be 2-0 up, they're out. They're over. They haven't got the mentality to come back. They will drop their heads. So, you know, there's a big opportunity there. Did Ollie say anything about Twansebi starting, says Matt Carroll? I'd love to see Twansebi starting at the weekend. I think he's, you know, his pace is important against the Arsenal attack. I don't think he'll start him. Ollie's pretty much nailed his flag to the mast for a long time that he thinks Maguire and Lindelof are our best partnership. I don't. I think, you know, the thing about Maguire and Lindelof is I think they've done quite well the last few games, but this has happened before. You know, at some point with those two centre-backs, they are going to cost you a game, and that will keep happening. And Rio spoke about that on Wednesday night as well. I always think Fred plays better in European games, so should we start Fred in Europe and play Donny in the league games, says Liam Devonwood. I don't think you can drop Fred. I don't think you can drop Fred at the moment. I think it would be a big mistake to drop him. But I do think that Van der Beek can play that role. And look, I think there's a few interesting decisions for Ollie to make. I've got a funny feeling that he'll start McTominay, and I wouldn't. I think Matic has got to play. The way he conducted the back four and the way he dictates the play from that deep position, I think Matic has to play, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes with energy McTominay. Carlo Ancelotti, have my kids, says Connor. I'm not Carlo Ancelotti. And all the other teams in the Prem are dropping points and have multiple long-term injuries. We should play our best team and go for the trophy. What do you think, says Shawnak? I mean, I think that's exactly what everybody wants us to do. We've got a very, very good squad. We've got a great opportunity. And I think whatever happens this season, if we don't beat Arsenal and we don't beat Everton and we end up messing around mid-table and then somebody at some point is going to start being consistent, I think we'll look back on this season and go, two things really. One, the pre-season thing and not having a pre-season screwed us and cost us definitely points against Palace and maybe Spurs. And then not capitalising on this period of the Premier League where nobody's grabbing the opportunity will be something that hurts us, because I think we are a good team and I think we're going to be a good team. And I think that the discussion about Ollie being sacked, look, there's going to be still people who want that to happen, but I'll tell you now, the results he's had in the last week, especially the European results, they ain't getting rid of him. I think Ollie's pretty much safe now until easily Christmas and probably the summer, unless he goes and does something I don't think he's going to do, like get beat by Arsenal and Everton and, you know, we go on a bit of a collapse. Then I think his job's pretty much safe for the season. So I think we're going to have a decent season, but we've got to start taking advantage of that season as well. And yeah, look, it's a massive game. We've got to win on Sunday, and yeah, simple as that. I mean, look, Aubameyang hasn't scored for a while. I never take any notice of that. If you give him a chance against United, he'll score. You know he will. He's a very good player, Aubameyang. I spoke about yesterday, Arsenal's last 9 Premier League games away, they've not drawn one game. You can guarantee it'll be a draw on Sunday. I don't want to draw on Sunday. I don't want to draw. Obviously, a draw is better than a loss, but I'd rather roll the dice of a loss or a win and take the draw out of the equation. I mean, 1 point at this stage in the season isn't good enough for us. We're playing catch up. We need 3 points. And look, if Arsenal win, it's a terrible result for us. But I would rather take a draw out the equation and roll for a win or a loss than have a draw as a likely thing. Can't wait for Everton versus United live. Love the stream, says Conor Fahy. Yeah, we're playing. Is it next Saturday we're playing Everton? Anyway, look, it's all about Arsenal, isn't it? Twan Sebi and Lindelof at the back, says Mawan. I would love to see that. I think Lindelof is playing better than Maguire at the moment, but there's no way Harry Maguire would get dropped. I think Harry Maguire is one of the first names on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team sheet. And I was disappointed that we didn't see Twan Sebi against Leipzig, to be honest. I don't really understand what's going on with Twan Sebi. And look, I'm not going to make a big issue of it because I'm so happy with the way we played on Wednesday. But how do you basically put in a man of the match performance against two of the best players in the world in Mbappe and Neymar? And it was on his side of the pitch. How do you do that and then not get a look in against Chelsea and Leipzig? And probably not Arsenal as well. So in terms of mobility and recovering the ball quickly, Van der Beek is much faster than Pogba. Van der Beek should have started ahead of him, says Pranay. Look, as I said, I think it's Van der Beek or Pogba to start on Sunday, and I think it will be Pogba. So, yeah. My prediction, Paul. Did I do a score prediction on my preview yesterday? If anyone's not watched it, you won't know anyway. But if you did watch it, Don Robbie's on at 3 o'clock, Roadrunner. We're going to be live at 3 o'clock with the Premier League show, and we've got Robbie on with me and Flex. So don't worry, we'll be having a bit of banter. I don't know whether I've done a score prediction for the Arsenal game. I think it's got a draw written all over it. I know I've said that. I think United are going to win, and I think United are going to win 3-1. Yeah. We've got to take... I think one of the things I would say is we've got to take our chances. And with no Martial in the team, you're probably going to start Rashford and Greenwood if we play a front two with Cavani to come off the bench. We've got to take our chances. We can't be in a situation where we play well against Arsenal and we don't have a good day in front of the side. And look, I don't think Greenwood played amazingly well against Leipzig, but I knew as soon as he was through, he would score. And that's why Greenwood's a big player. Fred is a starter. He wins the ball higher up the field with Diamond, which creates less pressure on the defence. Great for hitting teams on the breaks, as Stephen Locke. I agree. I wouldn't be happy with a draw. I said it's got a draw written all over it. I'm not happy with a draw. And Donny's much fitter than Paul at the moment, says David Hill. You know what? As long as he picks the Diamond, and as long as it's pretty much the same team as it was again on Wednesday, with Greenwood and Rashford up front instead of Martial, and Bruno at the head of there, I'll be happy with that team. My worst nightmare is that he somehow thinks it's a good idea to go back to the 4-2-3-1 with Mata and James in it and Fred and McTominay holding the midfield. If he does that, I'm going to cry when the team news comes out on Sunday afternoon. Anyway, we're back at 3 o'clock with the Premier League show. We've got Robbie on from AFTV, so that'll be good. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll speak to you in a bit.